Hello, I'm Kristen Lee. Um, so I was introduced to the Natalia Grace case by a friend, and she was like, "Has anybody been watching the documentary and whatever?" And I was like, "I kind of knew about it when it happened." Um, Michael Barnett went for his case for his court date in May of 2023. And I kind of remember some stuff about it, but I didn't get drawn to it at the time. Things have changed. I have opinions and I have feelings, and there's no like rhyme or reason to it. There's going to be spoilers, so if you want to watch it and then come back and then leave some comments, that's great. Just because I have one friend that I dragged with me last night, and we were going episode to episode, and it my reaction to it reminds me of when I was young and watching Jerry Springer, and you know how it became kind of like a sports event, and you're yelling at the TV, and you have that mob mentality where you're just it's yelling Jerry and stuff like that's how I feel watching this, because the first season, I finished the first season last night, got halfway through the second season. And the first season is by Michael Burnett's point of view. Second season's by Natalia's. And the case is about a Ukrainian girl that was adopted and brought to the US when she was 5. Those adopted parents could not keep her for whatever reason. My opinion and my feeling is that they found out how expensive a child with disabilities can be. And this young woman has dwarfism and a whole bunch of other things going on with her. I think that is why she was rehomed, which she sounds like a puppy, and it really upsets me. Anyway, so this family couldn't keep her anymore, and the mother reached out to, or the adoptive mother reached out to Little People of America to try and find a home that would suit Natalia. And there were 3 families that she was visiting with or had gone through the interview process or what have you. There was one that they were on the borderline of just finishing up the paperwork, and Natalia was going to live with them. And then there was something that happens, and Natalia ends up with the Barnett family. The Barnett family, I can't figure them out. I cannot. There's something there that happened before she got there, because the dad had sports cars. They had their oldest son is on the spectrum. The mother used him, as far as I'm concerned. But he was one of those child geniuses, and he had TED Talks, and he graduated college at a certain level, at a certain age, sorry. And he was used as a pawn for his mother to get rich, and his father. I know that he got some money. He's saying he doesn't get anything, but you don't drive around a Ferrari. You don't. Especially if you're looking at prison time. He was looking at 16 years in prison and possibly more, just for neglect of a person with disabilities. So anyway, you can see whose side I'm pretty much on. However, so season 1 is about, Michael's perspective on everything, and he talks about how it was a closed adoption. They flew to Florida. They paid $25,000 for this child, went to Disney World with their family, and when they were at Disney World, they allege that this young woman had lady bits, like advanced lady bits, while she was taking a bath. And I'm looking at the screen going, and? like, they're trying to age her up and say that she's not the age that she is. So anyway, so the mom from then on starts finding things where she has her menses and she's hiding it. And they were such bullies, and they videotaped her at these vulnerable times that was just, it's disgusting. It really is disgusting. Like, I can understand documenting bad behavior, but also you need to document good behavior. And I do understand that if they thought that she was either on the spectrum or she was going through PTSD or something like that, I can understand the documentation for that. But they took the videos to prove to themselves that they were right, and they groomed her to say the things that they got approved for later on in the case. And it's crazy. It's crazy. Like, had this child been adopted by this family that she was vibing with and everything was great, she would have had a totally different life. So anyway, the dad says that, the kid starts being creepy and scaring the family and tormenting their other children and all this other stuff, which could have happened if she was unhappy and she was trying to get kicked out of that house. That could have been how she was reacting. I'm not saying that it's okay, but they said that they found knives underneath her bed. She could have been doing it for protection. She had matches. How did she get them? The kid was not even 2 feet tall. Where is she finding them? How is she getting them there? And then the question is who was she defending herself from? So, and they got her on tape saying that she was going to burn down the house. And it's like, if you bully a kid enough and they think that they're worthless or whatever, and that they're acting out, they look for ways to get a reaction from you and any kind of attention, whether it's positive, negative. Anyway, so apparently they both get it in their heads that she is older than she says she is. She's conning them, and she's a grown woman that is trying to make money off of this family who's treating her like crap. So there's videos of Christine, the mom, punishing this child, going nose to the wall, because the kid couldn't answer questions about where'd she been prior to coming to the US. Apparently they had a neighbor that could speak whatever the language is from the Ukraine. I don't know off the top of my head. And the child didn't react to it. But at the same time, she'd been in the US at that point almost the same amount that she was in the Ukraine. So I really, now that I'm further into season 2, I have issues with Michael as well as Christine. So if you know, you know. But anyway, so they're getting ready for this court case, and for Michael to get ready for his court case, and that's why they did the documentary. So they did these punishments and everything. Somehow they got this child locked up into an insane asylum where she was diagnosed. While she was locked away, they got a judge to agree and sign off on upping her age to 22. And then when she was released, she's now an adult. So they took her from there and they brought her to an apartment and just left her there. They got her the basic needs and just left her there. And it took this season, because for me, I'm like, is genetics not a thing? Nobody can take a blood sample and find out how old this kid is. We can look at blood samples and hair follicles and things like that that are years past on true crime cases from years and years ago, and we can find the person that did it, but we can't figure out how old this child is. Like, I just got so mad. I got so mad. So they leave her there, and you know, even if she was a 22-year-old, she still is somebody that has special needs and has attachment issues. So she attaches herself to her neighbors, and she becomes that annoying person that just goes around sneaking into people's houses, snatching their food and things like it. It's I understand the adult's point of view, and I understand the kid's point of view. At some point, somebody could have called the cops. Somebody could have called the police and said, hey, this is going on. It's document it, anything, you know what I mean? Like, and even like the neighbor that lived at the house next to the Barnett house, she just grabbed her kid and said, you know what, we're not hanging out with that family anymore. Which isn't very grown, but at the same time, she says she didn't want retaliation from the family, which I get, but it just sucks that, you know, all this time passes. But we don't live in a perfect world where people do what they're supposed to do. And anyway, so fast forward, she's at this apartment. She gets evicted from the apartment. So then they drop her off at this next apartment, and it is on the second floor. And the police are called. And she ends up making friends with this lady Cynthia and her husband Antoine, who is a pastor. And she moves out and she moves in with them, and she's been with them since. Michael talking about everything that happened, he needs therapy.
Youngest son Ethan.
This fool is looking like Negan.
In your car with you right now.
My role is gonna be innocent looking guy sitting still. Just
I don't think so. He needs therapy, and he needed better, I don't know, because his lawyer's great. He's a fantastic lawyer. I mean, I don't agree with Michael, and I definitely don't agree with Christine, but the lawyer, he's doing his job, and he's doing a great job at it. You know, he was there for all of the interviews, and he kind of prepped him, but the outbursts that Michael had and is allowed to do, and then there was one part where the son was having a conversation with Michael, but he didn't know he was still mic'd. And once you sign those papers, anything that happens during, you know, filming time, it belongs to the people filming. It doesn't belong to the individuals that are talking. It belongs to the people that are filming. So they're allowed to show it. I was like, it was maybe 11 o'clock at night. I was like, oh my God. And this kid, he's like, oh man. He's like, I'm still mic'd. And he was talking about how he was told to pee all over this little girl's stuff. And there was something he was saying about the stairs. But I feel bad for him. I really do, because he got stuck between both parents. There was one part where when Natalia was living in the apartment that was on the second floor, they pieced out and moved to Canada. And when they were living in Canada, Christine said that Michael was abusive and had him basically deported back to the US. And this older son had no idea what was going on. He just had his mother's version of what happened. And he reached out to his dad when he was in New Orleans, I think, or something. And they met up, and he's now living with the dad. But it's just bananas. And then it comes to the day of, you know, going into court. And the judge says it doesn't matter about the age, because that's what they were going in. one person is saying that she is not the age that she legally was changed to, and his defense was like, but we're sticking with that because if she was an adult and she was conning him, then moving her to apartments and things like that was age appropriate. So the judge is like, you know what? We're going to wipe all that clean, and the jury has to look at it as a neglect of a person with disabilities or special needs. And he gets away with it. He gets away with it because the jurors are like, on the evidence that was given, we had to let him go. Not that they thought that he was innocent, just that they had to let him go. So that's how season 1 ends. He's a lunatic, man. I probably am going to get striked or something from... I haven't watched anybody else on YouTube talk about it. But I know that they had... I do want to watch the one with the behavior analyst. Look how mad I'm getting. Look how red I'm getting. Anyway. So going into season 2, because he got away with it, Natalia wants to get her story out because every time she's been interviewed, she's either had a gag order or she was advised not to talk about it until things came to light because they didn't know all of the evidence that Michael had. And there's still even evidence that they're finding between Christine and Michael. Oh, that was the other thing. Christine's case got dropped. I was fuming. That's why I had to go into season 2. And then, so anyway, starts off with season 2, and Michael wants to make amends with Natalia because he's thinking, if we team up together, we can go after Christine, because she's our monster. And that's what we're going to do. So the guardian that's had Natalia, one of the guardians, Antoine, the pastor, oh my gosh, I wanted to high five him. He did such a good job on reverse psychology. It was just awesome. It was choice. He goes in, and because you can't fight Sky Daddy, you have a right to religion. So before they go through the threshold of the house, he does a prayer with Natalia. But Michael can hear it. And his lawyer knows what he's doing, even though Michael has no idea. He's like, what's going on? Why is this happening? And the lawyer's like, you, because he knew that he was doing reverse psychology and he was triggering Michael before she even came through the door. I thought it was fantastic because this girl, somebody needed to protect her, something. But he's like putting his hand on her head and he's like, Lord, we're going to let evil go and we're going to let truths be told today. And he's going into it. Well, anyway, they start the conversation and all she asks him is why they chose her. Why did they go through the adoption process for her? Why did they want her after everything they did to her? And he's like, no, I'm not doing this. I tried. And he stomps out like the baby he is, gets in his Ferrari with his new wife, and peels it down the road. Okay, so editing me. So he was asked not to cuss. That was what it was. It wasn't. The question was, why did you adopt me? But she followed that up with, hey, as you're talking, can you not cuss? Because I don't know if his voice or anything would trigger her with everything that happened. And he was like, I'm going to try. And then he did it again. And she was like, man, he can't even follow directions, So Antoine steps in and says, sir, you were asked nicely not to cuss. and just answer the question. Just answer her question. And he loses it. So that's what happened. But yeah. If I was that family, I'd have so much pent up stuff. I wouldn't be able to go without running my mouth. I don't think that I would have been able to stand across that room and watch this man lie to this girl again. I was so mad. I made it to episode 3. There's a lot of things that happen. I'm already at 20 minutes. So I'm going to finish I think I'm on episode 5, and then I have the 6th one, and then I'm done. So I'm hoping to come back and then try and get it done in 5 minutes. So I'll see you soon. Okay, so I'm back. Hair's down. um, so I'm finished. I finished season 2. They're not done yet. There's a twist towards the right at the end. Lord, I don't know now, because like I feel like Michael is hiding stuff that he knows of, that he is not, done, or that hasn't admitted to knowing. But yeah. Whew, that ending, man. If you know, you know. Anyway, the rest of the 5th episode into the 6th is their second meeting. This fool shows up in this car dressed up like this. Where is he? The heck? What? God, I can't remember where I left off. And here I'm like, I'm gonna film it before 5 minutes is up, and I'm not gonna. Give me a second. Okay, I figured out where I left off. Basically, on episode 1 of this season. So the first meeting, Michael walks off, and you find out on Natalia's side that she was a child this whole time. They have dental records showing that she had baby teeth underneath. They get a hold of her birth mother that says that the birth certificate is legit. What else did they do? They spoke with a bone specialist or an endocrinologist. I don't remember, but a doctor that knew by her spine that she wasn't fully developed yet, even with her disabilities and diagnoses. There's something else. Oh, and then they got the blood tests. And they said that she was about 20 to 22. So that kind of goes with what the birth mother from the Ukraine said and everything like that. I will say that how this was shot reminds me of back in the day for Unsolved Mysteries, where there's like reenactments and stuff. But, oh, gosh, it was a ride. And basically the whole season is her trying to find the puzzle pieces to put back together. But the problem is that nobody stayed consistent with their stories. No one. Not even Michael. Like, as flamboyant and loud as he is, no one's consistent. There are stories that align, but they see it differently. And my buddy Antoine, he starts changing how he speaks to the interviewers later on in the season, and you can see like he's holding something back. And what it comes down to is her behavior with the younger kids. They have another child with disabilities, and she was interviewed, and this little girl said that Natalia bit her when she was a baby. Um, so I'm curious. I'm curious how it's gonna go, because it was all leading up towards the end of the season, where she was getting adopted by the man's family. But Michael's lawyer gets on and he goes, I want to believe both sides, and I'm looking at, everything, but at the same time, I also have the documents that are the same. So whether it was with that first adoptive family, the Barnetts, or even on, because they have a hospital document saying that she had hurt one of the man's kids. He goes, she has, a timeline showing that when she gets comfortable or whatever, things start happening, and it's usually to another family member. And throughout the whole series, they have analysts watching it and things like that. And it was really well done. I don't want to say the ending because it was a curveball. I'm curious if they're even signed on for a third season, if these people even want to talk to them anymore, the interviewers. But they did a really good deep dive, finding pictures and documents and things like that. Out of all of it, like, I want to believe Natalia, but I do believe that she has hurt people, even though she is a little person, and you can still do some damage, and it could be emotional. But I don't know. Now I'm like, I don't know how I feel. If you watched it, let me know what you think. I'd love to have a discussion in the comment section. What was your favorite part? If you had a favorite part, were you yelling at the screen like I was? Did you binge watch it? Are you following up on the Gypsy Rose release and her? I think she's on Life in Lockup or something like that. She's on this season. Not sure. But yeah. And let me know what other true crime things you're into, because I'm curious. I think that I'm drawn to it because I don't think like these people that do the crimes that they commit, which I guess is a great thing, but still at the same time, I'm always curious how they think, or why they think what they're doing is okay. So that was a day and a half of my life sucked in by TV. I hope you're having a great day and a great week, and I will see you on Sunday. Bye.